So the way the judging works is I have a pool of probably 12 to 15 different people that I pick from that have been in the industry for a long, long time that I feel are honest, and will give me a fair assessment of what they're looking at, and who don't have a student in the competition this year. And so like every year I try to pick 3 different judges. And so first I'll ask them if they want to judge, and if so, do they have a student in the contest? And if they do, I say, I appreciate your honesty, but I'm not going to let you judge this year. We'll try next year, because I don't want there to be any conflict of interest or any perception of cheating in any way, form, or fashion. So and not everybody gets to come every year, and then I also don't want anybody to feel obligated that they have to do it year after year after year. So that's why I kind of have a pool that I pick from. And the way I do it is not one judge knows who the other 2 are. So, and nobody knows who the judges are but me. And the reason they're anonymous is because if they wasn't anonymous, I couldn't get no judges to do it, because they don't want to have to listen to a bunch of whining, because there's a bunch of that takes place. If there's any, complaints or discrepancies or stuff, that needs to all be brought to me, not a judge. And so, I just tell the judges individually, don't knock somebody for making a pair of boots, for not making a pair of boots the way you do, because we all have different ways of doing things. But to the best of your ability, go out there and pick the best boot in that category for what category they're in, But they look at everything, like, for instance, top stitching is supposed to be judged strictly on top stitching. But if you've got 4 or 5 boots in there and all of them are exceptional top stitchers, then yes, we're going to have to start looking at other things on that boot to decipher and or pick a winner, But as a general rule, each category is done by what the classification, it is, it kind of stands on its own. So that's, in a nutshell, kind of how it works. And then as far as the categories go, the journeyman is 15 pair or less. If you won the journeyman, you're not allowed to get in it again. I mean, if you won the journeyman on your 3rd pair, and the next year you only made 11, I don't care. You're not allowed in the journeyman because you won it once. And then as far as the intermediate classes go, you can win each intermediate class once. So if you're in the intermediate top stitching this year and you win it, you're not allowed to get an intermediate top stitching anymore. If you decide coming out of the journeyman that you want to go into the intermediate division, you can literally win each intermediate division once, and then you're not allowed to get in anymore. You go play with the guys who've done it a long time. Back when I participated, there was no intermediate class. When you came out of the journeyman, you just went and played against the big boys, or you didn't play. A lot of people, I probably shouldn't use the word whine, but I'm going to use the word whined, that they felt like they couldn't compete with people who'd been doing it 35, 40, 50 years, because they'd only made 15 pair. And so that was the reason that I created the intermediate class. And it's been kind of it's been a pretty good stepping stone for coming out of the journeyman into the intermediate, into the open. It's once you get into the open, you can win whatever category you want to get in year after year after year if you're the best boot in that class, because there are some bootmakers in different parts of the country who don't have clientele who are going to order a pair of boots that are inlaid from top to bottom. I mean, in their area, it may just be guys that buy work boots all the time, But if your working Cowboy boot is the best every year, and that's pretty much your clientele, and that's what you make, and you win every year, good for you. You earned it, So anybody that walks out of here with a plaque, they earned it. It wasn't, I took away all the popularity part out of it when I took over. And if you win now, you won it on merit, not on somebody stuffed in the ballot boxes, which is what used to happen a long time ago. So
that's great. What about the masters and the shop category?
So the shop category is for if you got a 2-man shop or more, and everybody in there helps make that boot, then that's where the shop category comes in. And the masters, there's really not a quote unquote criteria, to get in that. I personally don't like the word master. I mean, people put that on me all the time. That's not something I call myself. I mean, I'm just a guy that's been doing it a long time. But you can get in the Masters, you know, and the Masters is anything goes. Whatever you want to put in there, you know. Because when the judges look at that stuff, I mean, they look at everything. I mean, they're going to look to see that the toes match. They're going to look to see that the heels match. I mean, they're going to look to see that they're the same, that things are symmetrical, that you can run a sole stitcher, that you can run a top stitcher, that, you know, your vamps and counters line up on the side, you know. They're going to look to see if your stitching matches front to back. I mean, they're going to pick that boot apart from top to bottom, inside and out. I mean, because me personally, I like for my boots to be as clean on the inside as they are on the outside, you know. So another pet peeve of mine is if a boot is leaning way backwards or way forward. You know, when that boot's done, it should stand straight up and down to carry the heel that the customer wanted. So when you get into the open division, the rules get a whole lot tougher, you know, and that's, you know, a lot of it is basic bootmaking 101. You know, those are the things that you need to be able to do basically before you get into all the wild inlays and overlays and, you know, and all the crazy stuff people try to do. You know, that was something that I kind of changed when I took over. The journeyman deal got to be just how much stuff can we cram on a set of tops. You know, well, the boots would lean forward, or they would lean backwards, and the toes were nowhere close. The heels weren't the same height, and so I took all that away. You know, I mean, you journeymen are putting the cart before the horse. You might want to put the horse back in front of the cart and learn how to do the basics correct before you get into all the wild stuff. So that's, you know, that's kind of some of the reasons for the rules the way they are, you know, and whatnot, because you can ask anybody who's been in the boot business a long time, 90% of the boots you make are all top stitching. You know, I mean, you know, a lot of people will get an initial or a brand, but you, as a general rule, you don't get boots that are just inlaid from top to bottom all over the place and you know, just full of everything imaginable. So you need to know how to do the basic stuff and be good at it before you get off into all that other stuff that's way over your head.
Makes sense. What do you think people do with the plaque after they win? Do you think it's just like for personal pride, like I accomplished this, or does it also affect their prices sometimes? Do they promote the fact that they won here?
You know, I don't really know. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, you know, well, that plaque means I've gotten there. To me, that plaque don't mean nothing. You know, your customers that buy your boots are what pays your bills, and what, you know, because if I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times. You know, well, celebrities are the world's worst about, well, I can bring you all the business that you want, and they don't want to pay for theirs. They want their boots for free because I'm so and so. You know, so and so don't pay my electric bill. You know. It's the everyday people that buy boots from me and all the other bootmakers year in and year out, you know, and get back in line for some more. Those are the ones that are our celebrities because they're the ones who keep us going. It's not somebody who wants something for free, you know. So some people take them home and hang them on the wall, and I'm assuming, yeah, you know, I mean, I don't go to, you know, I'm not in other people's shops that much, but I have seen, you know, been in a few other shops where that's where they have them displayed in their shops, you know, but, you know, there have been years, and that's kind of another deal. If there's just one boot in the category, you're not getting a plaque. That boot's going to have to be moved to another category because you're not going to win by default. You know, there has to be at least two in each category. If not, the boots get moved to another category, or they just don't get judged this year. If the people don't want to move to another category, they don't get to play this year. I mean, that's
fair.
It's not a win by default with me.
That's cool. It's one last question for you. Do you have any words for new bootmakers or maybe bootmakers who haven't come here yet and are afraid to put their boots on this table over here? Do you have any words of encouragement or something to help them maybe come out, kind of experience the competition, kind of experience what other people have to show at these things?
Yes, I hear that a lot. I don't feel like my boots are good enough to be in here. I think that's crazy. You know, in my eyes, the more boots on the table, the more the new people get to compare their work to others. You get to see a lot of ideas here that you might not see in your little shop. You know, because a lot of us live out in rural areas, and we're just kind of in our little workspaces, and we work by ourselves, or might have one or two people with us, and we just do this. You know, but if you come out here and there's something that you're struggling with, you can see, you know, the way other people do things, and those guys and or ladies are usually here, and you can ask their help. You know, how did you get this to look this nice? You know. And the more boots here, the more the new people get ideas. You know, just it helps as building blocks and inspiration. You know, I think, and there's a lot of people. You know, I've explained that to them. Oh, well, I never thought about it that way. You know, but I hate when people try to cut themselves short on their ability. You know, doing this is not the easiest thing in the world to do. So. Be glad you can do that. You can do it, you know. And if you got through the basics, you can get better. I mean, everybody gets better with every pair that goes out the door. And if you don't, you know, if you ever think that you've reached the pinnacle, you might find a new hill to climb. You know, because I've been doing this 42 years, and I still try to make the next pair better than the last. So that's just kind of my outlook on it. You know, I mean, and I'm glad. And I'll tell you, I'm sure glad I'm not a judge this year, because the competition is tough. I mean, the quality of a lot of these intermediates, their craftsmanship. Like I say, I'm glad I'm not having to pick who wins, because they're going to have to scratch their heads, you know, and really do some picking apart of some boots, because they're all of them are really, really, really good this year. I mean, really good. It's the best group of quality I've seen in a long, long time. You know, so the new guys, whoever they're learning from, and ladies, whoever they're learning from, they got good teachers, and they're gonna make some good hands. I'll say that.
Meet me at the roundup as the summer fades. Put those boots up on the table to judge how they are made. Free from the shop to stop and talk, from fit to stitch without a hitch. So meet me at the roundup for a few gorgeous Texas days.